happy birthday to you. Welcome little, Lante. Welcome little, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Andargachew Tsege, also known as Andy, a British citizen, a father of 3 from Islington, London, who has lived in the UK since 1979, was abducted at the airport in Yemen in June 2014, en route to Eritrea, and rendered to the brutal regime in Ethiopia. There are serious concerns. He may have been tortured. It's not known where in Ethiopia he is held. In a country where campaigning for free society, criticizing the government, is considered as a terrorist act or offense, and he was sentenced to death in 2009 in absentia, when he wasn't even in the country. Andy, who is also called the Ethiopian Nelson Mandela, stood for the values of freedom, justice, and liberty that Britain and the whole civilized nation stood for. Although Britain and the British government have been expressing grave concerns about the unlawful kidnap and render to Ethiopia, however, David Cameron's government haven't done enough to bring this man home to his family. British parliamentarians, we understand, were meant to be traveling to Ethiopia to visit him and to ask for his release and for his safe return to his family. We just learned that they have been denied an entry visa to Ethiopia. This is supposedly a country which has got appalling human rights records, but in the official records of the Foreign Office say to be a friendly state. Don't know what that means. His family feel let down by Britain, a nation built on universal rights of individuals. The right of individuals is valued, and a country he came to seek safety. Despite its appalling human records again, Britain still pours to the tune of about 375 million pounds a year to a nation which represents its people. And some of this money, that your taxpayers' money, my taxpayers' money, we pay for the good of alleviating poverty, is used to repress innocent people. Andy has been detained in an unknown place for over 230 days and still counting, and welfare and his life is at serious risk. As we remember his 60th birthday, we have a vigil for Andy and all political prisoners in Ethiopia, and we ask David Cameron and all the good men and women in the British government to do all they can to bring this British father home to his family unharmed. As the great statesman Edmund Burke said, all it takes for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. So we appeal to you, Mr. David Cameron, please do something. And I will say, Andy, happy birthday. Thank you. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got here Jeremy Corbyn, the Honourable MP for Andy or Andargachew Tsege, and his partner Yemi. So I'm going to invite some of you, say a few words, and probably I've got a lot to say more after that.
Friends, thank you very much for being here today. We've just been across to Downing Street to hand in a letter to the Prime Minister. asking the government to take serious action to ensure that Andy is released. And I've just tabled a motion to Parliament, which I will read to you now, if I may. The motion I've put to Parliament, and I'll read it to you. That this House congratulates Mr. Andargachew Tsege on his 60th birthday, regrets that this is being spent in prison in Ethiopia, is aware Mr. Tsege, who is a British citizen, was tried in absentia, sentenced to death and later illegally removed from Yemen to Ethiopia, where he is now being held incommunicado at an undisclosed location. Acknowledges that only 2 British consular visits have been permitted, is shocked that the Ethiopian government has refused requests by British parliamentarians, including his constituency MP, the Honourable Member for Islington North, to visit him, calls upon Her Majesty's government to put all possible pressure on the Ethiopian government to secure his immediate release. And that has been tabled today to Parliament. Thank you. The facts you all know very well. Andy has lived in the UK for a long time, has never given up on his hope for democracy, for freedom, and all the things that we all want for everywhere, and has campaigned for them, was tried in his absence, which is illegal in British and European law, was sentenced to death, which is illegal in British and European law, was hijacked from Yemen to Ethiopia, which is illegal in anybody's law. And when I challenged this at the Ethiopian embassy to say, by what process was he removed from Yemen, I was told, we don't need a process, they understand us. I'm sorry, when you take a prisoner from another jurisdiction, you need a legal process. There was none. There's been no extradition request to Britain. There couldn't be because he's under a death sentence in Ethiopia. So Lord Alebachew and myself went to the embassy last week, and with our passports and our visa applications all completed, and asked that we be granted visas in order to travel to Addis to visit Andy in prison later this week. We were told in no uncertain terms we would not be allowed to visit him in prison. We are reiterating that request, and I've now made a formal request that Clive Stafford-Smith, who's done such a fantastic job in reprieve, standing up for people who've been sentenced to death, be allowed now to go to Ethiopia to visit him. We're standing here today to wish Andy a happy birthday. We're standing here today to stand up for justice and for human rights, and we'll stand here as long as it takes to get him out, to get his freedom, and to get the freedom for all others that are subject to arbitrary law and arbitrary detention in the way that Andy is at the present time. The future of any country is democracy. The future of any country is freedom of speech. The future of any country is the right to express and report on your views. The future of any country is an independent judicial system. I want all of those things for Ethiopia. Andy stands for all of those things, and I'm proud to represent him in the British Parliament. Thank you very much.
It really made me sad today is that when we were preparing the leaflets, there was not a single word we needed to change. 8 months later, the UK government has absolutely done nothing. They have not done anything at all. In this case, they have not honored him. They haven't said that he is full citizen, and that is what I see. Ministers went 2 weeks ago to Ethiopian Foreign Office ministers, and they did not raise the case with their counterparts in Ethiopia, and that tells us all, and that has to change, because he's a British citizen who's been abducted in a completely different jurisdiction and arbitrarily detained for the last 8 months, and that is not fair, and the UK government has to do something. Thank you.
Happy birthday to your younger brother.
Yeah.
First and most of all, I would like to say thank you for Jeremy, who's been standing with us for the last 7 to 8 months, and he's behind us all the way, and I'd like to say thank you, and for everybody who's standing here to honor my brother. And even though he is somewhere in the dark, we don't know. And I would like to say thank you, and I'd like to say, I want to say to him happy birthday, and I hope next year this time we will see him and to come back to us, to come back to his family, to come back to the country he loves, because this is what he learned, how to say freedom, justice, and democracy. This is where he learned it, and this is what he wished for Ethiopian people, and he doesn't deserve to be locked up. And thank you.
Okay, I'll just say the last paragraph or a few words of what I just said earlier on. We want Andy to know that we are celebrating. He is a hero of freedom. He is a hero of justice. He is a hero of liberty. He is a hero of democracy. So we proudly celebrate his 60th birthday. These are the values that this nation is built upon. This is a value that every civilized nation is built upon. Okay, it shouldn't be a crime. I tell you what, if standing up for freedom of expression and liberty and democracy, yeah, the price of that is an abduction, I am Andy. Every one of us, Andy. Would you like to live in a dark state where you won't be able to say what you want to say or what you see, or without any freedom of expression? It is sad. In a multi-society Britain, I am sad to say that probably the British government chooses who it protects and who it abandons. That shouldn't be right. That isn't fair. Andy has been detained for the last 230 days in an unknown location. Nobody knows. The rumors and the leaks that we are getting are not pleasant. He has been tortured to a point he couldn't even lift his legs, yeah, to board a car. The video image that the ETV, yeah, he has appeared on, he looked gaunt and unwell. That may be the price of freedom, but we need to stand up. So if everyone who stood for freedom and freedom of expression and justice and liberty is done that, unless we stand up for them, the next time the same thing happens to you, every one of us, there won't be anybody who will be shouting for us. So we shout together for Andy. So he has been detained over 230 days and still counting. His welfare and life is at risk. As we remembered his 60th birthday, and we hold a vigil here for him and for all who stood for justice and liberty and freedom around the world as well. We ask the British government and all good men and women in this institution, do something. You cannot ignore of a plight of a private citizen who speaks up for justice, who speaks up for freedom, and who speaks up for liberty. It is not in your power to decide who you protect and who you abandon. The charter that you have entered with your citizens is not for election day only. You should protect it day in, day out, 24 hours a day, every single day of the year. It's a travesty. A country that we, British people, give our taxpayers' money off to the tune of about £375 million, partly used to repress innocent citizens in a darker corner of the world. That shouldn't be allowed. We should, as British citizens, ask and make David Cameron and his government accountable. What are you using my money for? If you are not using it to eradicate poverty and to stand up for freedom and justice, I don't want it to be used for repressing people anywhere in the world. There shouldn't be a double standard. Freedom has no color. In Ukraine, in Syria, in Ethiopia, in Afghanistan, in Yemen, it's all the same. You don't choose where you speak about freedom. So, to David Cameron we say, as the great statesman Edmund Burke said, all it takes for evil to triumph in this world is for good men and women to do nothing. Please, 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 do something. Demand Andy's release and come back home to London. Act now. We say, happy birthday, Andy.
We can set aside to show just how much we love you. I'm sure you would agree. Won't it more perfectly? On the day you came to me, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
ሰማይ ብሩህ ዕለት መልካም በዓል መልካም ልደት ላከበረው የደስታ ቀን ይሁንለት። ብሩህ ሰማይ ብሩህ ዕለት መልካም በዓል መልካም ልደት ላከበረው የደስታ ቀን ይሁንለት። ላከበረው የደስታ ቀን በደስታ በሆድ መስቀን ተሳስቀን በደራች ሕይወቷን ዕለቱን አድምቀን እናፍራት ትዝታ የሚያነፋፍቀን ይህ የምንቆርሰው ኬክ የፍቅር ሰላምና የጤና በረከት ያምጣልን። That's